This is a Podco original.
So I didn't do the first season. We were so skeptical about doing it. Just, it was Disney. We weren't familiar.
There's always that discomfort of
we didn't know.
She did. She used to do that all the time, where she literally would be like, "I'm gonna cut it all off. I'm gonna add extensions," and she wouldn't tell anybody. And Disney would get so.
Wait a minute, really?
Tell us.
This is okay. Tell us. And then they were like, "We want to really cut your hair," and I was like, "All right, $5,000. You pay me $5,000. You can cut my hair however you want." Who was the biggest butthead, and what happened? We are on a podcast, everybody. Wizards of Waverly Pod, and we have a very special guest.
The specialist guest.
And I will just say this, when you go to the salon, you get the tea, right? That's what
oh my
they
God.
call. I usually say
I'm
the
so
dirt.
over the phrase the tea.
I know,
I'm
whatever.
so
That's
over
what the youngsters say.
You're officially next generation because the youngsters definitely are into the tea.
I was always old, but I'm officially old now.
The very talented
Roxie Baker Sarver. Or do you know Roxie Sarver? Excuse me, Roxie Sarver. Our hairstylist extraordinaire.
Baker Sarver's right.
Yeah, our hairstylist
good friend.
and good friend from all 4 seasons.
And Jen went to your salon, last week?
Yeah. I still get my
hair.
She still cuts my hair. I try to do it justice. I think I over tonchoed the top.
You do a great job.
It looks good.
You do a great
but
job.
anywho, so welcome to the
everybody.
show.
Yeah, I'm
So
so
question
excited.
right away.
Yes.
Who does your hair?
Whoever has time. I
in
am
the salon,
as you
somebody
can
does
see, the last on the list. Always, just somebody can please somebody.
But you pull it off. You have such a great Goldie Hawn hippie mom cool vibe to you that I've always loved.
Thank you.
It's
I am
true.
letting my natural silvers
As you should,
grow
but
in.
you pull it
Thank
off.
you.
You pull it off. Okay,
Thank you.
so
Okay.
how did you first get into hair, and what was the thing what do you remember loving about it when you first started?
Interestingly enough, my plan had nothing to do with hair. I always did my friends' hair in high school and relatives and things that came to the house because it was fun.
Sure.
But my mind was I wanted to go to college and study and be an attorney.
Oh.
Wow, what kind of law
Very
did you
different.
want to go into?
Who knows? I was on the debate team in high school and I thought, arguing, fun. I like it. And I always joke that, I walked into the wrong room and I was in beauty school. But
Yeah.
I ended up not going to college. And basically it was, you have to do something. You can't just go to the beach. So I thought, beauty school, that sounds fun until I figure out what I really want to do.
Famous last words.
Have you figured it out?
No. And so I went to beauty school, Santa Monica College, actually.
Wow.
And
all about the community college.
I immediately got a job after, and I'm like, okay, so I'll just do this one.
What was that job?
It was a salon on Robertson in Beverly
Fancy.
Hills. It wasn't really fancy. It was a very small little place. The owner was kind of cuckoo, and his drunk mother worked for him. So she accused
like
me
a
of
sitcom.
some stuff. Right? I'm telling you, the whole salon life is a sitcom.
Yeah.
This episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and savory recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Since Yuli and I have started using HelloFresh, we've saved so much time by skipping meal prepping and going to the grocery store. We love the creamy, dreamy mushroom cavatappi. It's our new favorite. HelloFresh has us eating healthy and trying new things. HelloFresh's new Build-A-Plate meals are designed to let every member of the household create their own plate. No more making multiple dinners to satisfy everyone, just one meal with so many ways to enjoy. With a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week, HelloFresh makes it easy to always find something the whole family will love. And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids to unlock this exclusive offer. One free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
And then I moved to salon, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for a while. I'm doing this. I moved salon. And then I was in a salon in West Hollywood, And a guy that I worked with said, listen, I'm working on the show and I need some extra help this week. I can't find anybody. And
What
I
was the
like,
show?
Who's the boss?
But Tony Danza.
Tony Danza.
Hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Oh, yeah. And Judith Light. I love her to death. And
A friend of mine worked for her. She's amazing.
amazing.
She's the nicest,
She's
sweetest.
just so amazing.
And Alyssa Milano.
Alyssa Milano. It was
was
like a
like
whole
what?
thing.
10?
When I started there, she was just entering into her teens. I
Okay.
wasn't there from the beginning.
So your friend says, I need your help.
I need
and
your
you
help.
go there and then you do the show? You stay on the show?
No, I did the show, and they're like, oh, can you come back and help in 2 weeks? We have another big show. I guess I did okay.
It's like a big episode, right?
yeah.
So if I may,
Sure.
there's on a sitcom, there's a head person,
Yes.
and then they hire the other people, and then if there's a big show, meaning a lot of people,
Yes.
and other actors, you need someone else to come in and help.
Correct. That's what I do on my current show.
Got it.
If I read
What-
the
what
script,
show
on
is that?
Wizards.
it's Night Court,
Oh.
season 3.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. If there's a huge show, I call all my friends and say, are you available? We have like
Yeah.
17 extra
Well, like
people.
episodes like the zombie episode,
Correct.
or like the one where like we were all vampires, like
Correct.
anything where there's like large groups of people, you need more hands.
Absolutely. And so I was the extra hand, and then they liked me, and then season ended, and then I got a call and just said, we're losing somebody on the team. Would you like to join the team? And I was like, TV? Like, it was fun, but okay. And I did it, and I've not stopped.
Yeah,
and it's
decades
been
later.
Amazing. I mean, there's
30
so many
something years.
There's a union? Do you?
Yes.
Do,
Oh,
do,
I'm-
Do you then, because you get the job, you get to be a part of the
Well,
union?
this is
or-
what's interesting.
It's IATSE, right?
IATSE, Local 706 for hairstylists and makeup artists. Today, you cannot work on a union television show unless you're already in. I had the opportunity to work and had 30 days to decide.
But that with actors, it was the same thing. Where it was,
Oh,
'cause
was
I
it?
was in Texas. They had something called SAG eligible.
Mm-hmm.
That was so you could join SAG, but like in Texas, there was some caveat where like you didn't have to. But when in LA, I could say I was SAG eligible, which got me the job. But within 30 days, I had to.
Right.
SAG
I had to sign
eligible means that you did background, or that
Yeah.
you got you had like 3 vouchers or something.
Yes, you
Is
had
that
to
what it
like it's such a catch-22 because like, you can't work union jobs unless you're in the union,
Right.
But you can't join the union unless you work union.
is? They make it
Correct.
tough.
Yeah.
They make it
Yeah.
tough. Okay, so you're now working on Who's the Boss?
I was working on Who's the Boss. I did the last 3 years, I believe. I don't remember what year it was, but it was 80s because I think we finished in 89.
And is Tony Danza that guy in real life? Like, hey, how you doing? Is he like that, or is he
is-
serious? Because like when I worked with Christopher Lloyd, when he's on, he's on, and then when he's not, he's very calm.
Yeah, well, Jack
Right.
Black's the same way apparently. I had a friend work on School of Rock, and that's what she said. She was like, when he's not on, he's very quiet.
they're
very
That's
Amazing
funny. I
act.
did the sitcom School of Rock.
Yeah, that's right.
But
And the line producer was my friend Jason's. I can't remember.
On which?
On School of Rock.
Oh,
yes.
Dion.
Yes.
Dion.
Kushner.
Dion Kushner, because my friend Jason's sister is Dion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, go on.
Hollywood's
Sorry.
a small town.
So Tony Danza's.
Tony Danza's the guy. He's definitely the boss. But great, fun. I mean, so efficient. Those were the days where you went in, I don't even know if we pre-shot anything. We
Interesting,
just
'cause
came in, did 2 shows. We did a live show early, had dinner, did a live show later.
Really?
Wow, so
We were
the
still
exact same
out.
script you were doing, because typically now everybody does.
interesting.
You'll pre-shoot some scenes, and then on Thursday, and then on Friday they'll bring in an audience. They'll shoot the other scenes and then play back the ones that they've
Correct.
already filmed.
Exactly.
And I did this on Home Improvement when I did
Mm-hmm.
a guest on there, where they did the whole show. So they had it in the can, as it were. They had
Yes.
filmed everything. So everything else was a bonus.
Correct.
Yeah.
And usually, of course, as we know, when you're in front of the audience, it's like magic.
The
It's an
energy's so
injection
elevated. Yeah.
injection of something.
It's part of the energy.
Well, because also
that's-
too, I mean, the whole week you're working the same lines, the same story. Sure,
Right.
things get tweaked and changed, but by Thursday, if you shoot on if you have the live audience on Friday, you're so just like done with that script.
Correct.
So then when the audience comes in, it becomes a whole new
And
thing.
it becomes more fun, and you guys
Yeah.
are joking with each other, and everybody's a little looser. And director will often say, have fun with it. We've got it.
Yeah.
Have fun with it now.
Right. And they'll
You know?
change lines. They'll do
Right.
alts. They'll say, okay,
Yes.
that we've got that line
Yeah.
already. Now, when you do the second pass, when you shoot the scene again, we'll alternate with this line with that. And then the audience doesn't know that's going to happen. So it's a special little surprise
Yeah.
kind of thing. So-
Correct.
Well, for everybody. But so you went on. Go ahead. What were you gonna
No,
say?
I interrupted you. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's
So
okay.
you're doing 2 shows in one day.
Doing 2
The
shows
same
in one day.
episode, but two
I mean, and
filmings.
it's like boom, boom, boom. We're out. I believe there was maybe Jeopardy. I don't remember what
Yeah.
it was that Tony wanted to watch at like 7:30. So we had to be
That
done.
was our hard
That's
out.
when I directed Scott Baio on See Dad Run.
Oh,
He-
yeah.
He wanted to go golfing. So I had to be done as soon as
Oh, yeah.
possible.
Oh.
And he only allowed me 2 passes. So I only was
interesting.
allowed to do two takes on one thing because he wanted
That's
to
also
leave.
a lot of pressure on
He was-
him.
I'm sorry, Scott. You're an asshole.
Well, yeah, you've mentioned your love for Scott.
Yeah. No.
Do you know that my ex-husband, who you may or may not know, was one of the producers on that?
Oh, really?
Jeff
It is
Sarver.
a small
Yeah, of course.
world.
And,
Yes.
and they were so sweet.
Yes.
Everybody there was wonderful. They all wanted me back, but Scott didn't want me back, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, I know why.
I'll say, and then you tell me. When I walked when the audience was there, and I walked on set, I was directing. The audience was like, "Oh my God, Jerry!"
Yeah.
And I saw
no.
Scott go, "Wait, what is? Why are people?"
Nope.
And he
Can't
did
pull-
not
can't
like
pull
that I got
focus.
attention.
Can't
I
pull
mean, it was
focus.
that moment ended me working on that show.
That's bullshit.
Is that right? What you were going to say?
Yes, and politically, he's a very hard line in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
I won't go into it, but if you're the other, it's
yeah.
difficult to work with him.
Yeah.
And by the way, really coincidentally, my current boyfriend used to date his sister,
Oh my God.
It's too small of a world. It's too small.
and that's the other time I met him briefly.
Yeah.
And
And you guys went golfing.
yeah, at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But you
I don't
know
even
what?
think I'm allowed
Here's
there
the
for
thing.
multiple
No,
reasons.
well,
My
yes,
mom
yes,
always
yes.
said, don't talk ill of anybody, right? So there was a moment where Richard Grieco from 21 Jump Street, my brother was there and everything. He came over to the house and he kind of held court over in the corner, like my parents' gathering. And he was not very super nice. And I said to my mom, I said, what do you think about Richard Grieco? And this is the worst that she would say about anybody. She said, I'm not a fan. So I'm not big on saying negative things
Yeah,
about
I
people.
totally get it.
But he's a negative
You
person,
just said Scott Baio, you're an asshole. What do you mean?
No, there's Bruno Campos, Scott Baio, and my ex-wife. Those 3 people are terrible people. But everybody else I
Can I
love.
just say the contrast between I'm not a fan and you being like, look, you're fucking asshole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, it is funny, but what I'm saying is, at least it's only 3.
Yes.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
It's 3 people. So
I could have more than that on my list of not a fan.
you must have worked with so many people.
Well, 'cause,
the
I mean-
stories that you can tell.
You're like
I
the
always say my
sitcom
swan song
queen.
will be
Yeah.
a book.
Yes. Yes. No, but like, I mean, you're like the sitcom queen. She's the nanny, Saved by the Bell. What are some things that you learned from those early days of being a part of a sitcom team?
Wait, you worked on Saved by the Bell the college years too?
The college years.
I did an episode of that.
What'd you play?
Did
you guys know this?
Like a steroid guy or whatever.
Really?
Like, was it KTLA-ish?
Yeah.
We shot it?
Yeah.
It was a poker playing game night. And I know
Remember it.
Dustin's not
Wooden
with us anymore,
set with stained glass. I don't.
Well,
I
I
remember
love that we
that.
worked on Wizards for how long and you guys didn't know that you'd already worked
I
together?
know
Weird.
that, who does extra? Mario Lopez. He was so fucking nice to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. He's
you know,
nice.
when you're the guest, you're like, I don't know where to go.
Yeah, he's
He
very
came up to
welcoming.
me and he's like, hey, the bathroom's over there. Craft service is here.
Yeah.
We're going to have lunch over here if you'd like to join us. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I stayed friends with Tiffany. And I mean, like,
I did a series with Tiffany.
they were so nice.
Yeah.
It was
Absolutely
amazing.
terrific.
I love that. we did
I was
that.
actually remained very good friends with Mario for a long time.
Yeah.
So nice. Good people. Okay. So the amount of shows that you've worked on are massive. I mean,
A lot.
like, it's
A lot. And knock on wood, mostly successful shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rarely shows that got canceled early on.
Yeah, you know, I
I've
don't
been
know if you
crazy
ever
lucky.
really
Yeah.
did like just season or only like the first 3 episodes because that was the nice thing about Disney Channel is the fact that like you were kind of at the time guaranteed your 4 years,
Right,
which you
right.
didn't know.
I didn't know. I passed on the pilot. and because I wanted to work, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I wanted to work. I wanted to work on a
Network.
prime time
Yeah, yeah. Of
network
course.
thing because this was
But
cable.
network cable episode to episode, you're like on pins and needles being like, are we going to keep
Sure.
going?
We're talking
Of course.
15, 16 years ago. It's different. And then they came back after showing the pilot, the original, and then they came back to me and said, we'll guarantee you 22 episodes. And I was like, well,
Hell
that's
yeah.
wonderful. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
I'm happy to do that.
Yes.
And Jen's like, yeah, they already knew they were going to do the series. You know
At
what I
the
mean?
time,
So-
it's not that way anymore. Disney
No.
Channel doesn't work that way from what I've heard. They're a little bit more, less married to a show. So like a
Yes.
show
Yeah.
at least would go 3-4 years back then, but now it's like all the shows. You can
They
even have a
probably knew in the
successful
first
show.
half of
Yeah.
the first season
Yeah.
if it was going to go.
Unless
Well,
something
they-
like egregious happened.
Right.
Right.
And they also were massaging Selena to be a star because
Correct.
they put
Use
her
a
in 2
different verb.
pilots that year. They had put her on Hannah Montana. They put
Yeah.
her here. They were like, here's a vehicle for this.
They would
kid.
find it. That was their formula. Was they found kids they wanted to launch through like Hollywood Records and their whole thing,
Right.
and they would find a show for them. Right.
So, just jumping in a little bit. So you got a call about Wizards. Who's there?
I was working.
How did that?
I'll tell you exactly. I was working on a show called According to Jim.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll tell you my
you
story
on?
and then afterwards.
See, I told you I've done every show.
Yeah.
And Guy Distad
Yes!
was our
Who was our
AD,
first? Yes.
and he said, "Hey, I'm going to do this other show too. And what do you think?"
Guy did According to Jim.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so did a couple people.
And he
Guy,
directed a lot of episodes,
Yes.
and he's a part of the Wizards Beyond
absolutely,
sequel. And,
one of my favorite people of
he's
all
the
time.
best. He's the
So,
best human.
He said, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do 2 shows. I really don't want to do 2 shows. You know, even they were on different days.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
So if you're doing 2 shows, sometimes they shoot Monday to Friday, or they'll do Wednesday to Tuesday, right? Is that what you're talking about? So you can
Yes.
do 2 shows because
I
Monday,
can do 2 shows. Obviously, you guys
can't.
can't.
right. But what I'm saying is, they would do that. Like when we shot Jesse, we would shoot it on Monday, Tuesday, because Brett Kaufman Crane was doing Friends on Thursday,
Thursday,
Friday.
Friday.
Well, but
Yes.
also too, like we wouldn't see like you and Thea or like makeup, hair. We'd see costume a little bit. So like Shannon, but we wouldn't really see you guys until
Right.
Thursday, Friday.
Right. Correct.
So you didn't want to do 2 shows, or you were on the fence?
Well, I also have a salon business. So that's 2 shows and a salon, which I'm about to walk into again at
Yeah.
this advanced age.
Oh, stop.
So it's tiring because
Yeah, of course.
I have, the television business and I have my private salon business, as you know. And I do love what I do still. But I'm
lot of
not in my
plates to keep
30s,
spinning.
even 40s, even 50s anymore.
What?
So, yes.
I think she's full of shit.
Yes, I am. I'll show you my driver's license. I know it's hard to believe. But I'm about to walk into it again. But the question was, Guy said, what do you think? What do you think? I think you'd be great for this. And I'm like, Guy, I'd go anywhere with you. But like 2 shows, I'm doing this show. And
Yeah.
So I went in and talked to Greg. And at that time, it was going to shoot 3 days, 2 days on stage, 1 day on location. And I was like, oh, no, sorry.
Oh, for Wizards?
Yes.
Weird.
I pass.
Yeah.
And then, oh, that's right. This adds another point. So I didn't do the first season.
Yeah.
Somebody else did the first season. And then I got a call. I don't know what happened to that person. So I'm not even going to say, I don't know if they were let go or left or what happened. But I got a call again from Greg and said, we're changing up the format.
Greg's the line producer.
But
Yes.
also at that point, like we did one location episode, which is the baseball episode, and then we never did it again.
Well,
They were
that's,
like,
I think, what
"Absolutely
happened.
not."
They
Yeah,
realized
yeah.
it was too much.
It was too much. It was
Especially
too
for
expensive,
kids
too much
and-
to
yeah.
coordinate.
Yeah,
It
but
was a
that's so
mess.
weird to say in the beginning that.
Yeah, it was
because
a weird. That's a weird thing.
That's what I was told. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
why I
odd.
said no. I just could not work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I just couldn't.
Yeah, but how can Guy do 2 shows? Or
I
he
don't
was leaving
know. Maybe one was ending and the other was
I
starting.
think according
and
to
then
Jim was ending from what I remember.
maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But then also I did, I crossed over into doing 2 shows again when Good Luck Charlie started. But somehow.
Which is a great show.
I
We
got,
love that.
yes, I got the phone call that they're changing the format. They're going back to just Thursday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday. I don't remember what it was. And at that point, there was a hole in the schedule. I went, yeah.
Yeah.
And I instantly like loved everybody there. And Sandy and we were so skeptical. My partner, Sandy, who does hair with me, we were so skeptical about doing it. Just, it was Disney. We weren't familiar.
There's always that like discomfort of
we didn't know.
Yeah.
Was the money different?
Yes.
Of course. Come on.
Disney.
But I'll tell you, what's equally as important for someone in crew is hours.
Yeah. It's a trade-off.
That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Because like with the kids, they only could work a certain amount of hours. I was a
Correct.
dad and I was
Correct.
I didn't want, when you do a 1 hour, you're there from 6 to
However
10.
long they
the
were
You're
whole
there
day.
for weeks.
Yeah.
But
and-
with kids,
and-
it's 8 hours.
Right.
You
So
can't get over 8
it's
hours.
it's a nice thing to
Correct.
be able to do that. And it's interesting. I think in the first season we shot Monday. We switched our schedule. We either did Thursday, Friday, and then we went to a Monday, Tuesday shooting. But I know that we had switched. So maybe we had switched. Whatever the other show you were doing had to be the different days,
Yes,
right?
of course. It had to be. Yeah, I could never, you're not even allowed to do that. But
It's impossible.
yeah. And then luckily when Good Luck Charlie started and I took that job, it was on different days.
Yeah.
And I was doing both of them at the same time.
How did they, go ahead.
No, and where did, because we shot at Hollywood Center Studios.
They shot
Where
there.
did Good Luck Charlie shot?
No, we shot the pilot there.
Oh, that's what
Then
I'm
we
thinking
went
of.
to KTLA and
right.
then we went
Because
to
that's where Hannah shot.
LA Studios downtown.
Wow, so you moved around.
We moved around.
Because-
We ended there.
Because I know Hannah was at KTLA and then nothing was downtown. Why did they go downtown? And so
What is it called? What's that studio
Is
called?
it the studio Mad Men
Downtown?
shot at?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
LA Center Studios, I think.
Yeah, because
and it was
where
actually
Mad Men shot.
really
I remember
nice.
auditioning.
It was a beautiful
for that show.
studio.
No,
but
it is. But
who
it's
wants to
like
go
getting there
downtown?
Sucks.
Oh my
Like,
God,
yeah.
you guys both just talked at the same time. I was trying to
Sorry.
listen to
I'm
both.
sorry.
This is how we are when we're at the salon.
Exactly.
We're just like, ugh.
So now, if I may,
Yes.
you're on Wizards. You're doing both. My according to Jim thing, and
my God.
I don't know Jim Belushi well, but I was testing to be his brother, and I saw him in Brentwood, and I was like, oh my God, there he is. I'm testing on Tuesday. I see him on the way. I'm just going to go say hi, and I went over to him during lunch,
wait.
and I was like, I said hi. I said, hi, I'm sorry to interrupt. My name is David DeLuise, and I'm testing to be your brother on Tuesday. And he just had a cigar in his hand, and he went, uh-huh. And I was like, oh, fuck, I think I
shit.
just lost the job. So it just was, I should not have gone up to him.
Well, there's only one way to find that out.
Yeah, and I experienced that, and I think he's very funny, and I think that Tim Allen is very funny. When I did Home Improvement, I made a joke at the table read, and it got a big laugh. And then there was a silence, like crickets. And Tim leaned and just looked at me and was like, who is that? I've since talked with him, and I think he's a wonderful man and very funny. During the rehearsal, I made a joke and the crew laughed, and then Tim did 5-10 minutes of stand-up to make sure that I knew that I wasn't
Who was
as
the
funny.
funny one?
Yeah.
It's comedians.
And
It's
then
like, because didn't Mel do that at like a house party one time? Where
Oh
he
yeah,
was just like,
Mel
you
Brooks
have
would
to be the
not
funniest
leave
one in the room.
unless he thought he was the funniest
it's
man.
comedian's ego.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
But then the first came up to me and said, David, can you not do any more jokes? Because we don't have this kind of time. Because you can't tell Tim, like, wrap it up,
Right.
So that was just interesting for me, sorry.
And I will say, on behalf of Tim, who I love and adore, he does love other funny people.
Yeah.
Loves
But listen,
other
also-
But there's a
he's
difference
in-
between loving funny people and still having to be the funniest
Right,
in the room.
Right. And
Yeah,
he's in a realm where I think certain people are, when you're in that realm, everybody wants something from you.
Sure.
And I think that,
Sure.
you put up a little bit of a
trust
wall.
me.
And when we did shoot, it was great. Everybody was so nice. And I've since seen him at a coffee shop, and we sat and talked, and he remembered me, and he was super sweet and super nice. I mean, it's pretty tricky to be the lead of a show. There's a lot of pressure.
Well,
there,
having the boundaries, but also, knowing the pressure of like having to be liked by everybody and then still having to run everything. And sometimes when you're the head of it, you have to be the bad guy, but you can't be the bad
Oh,
guy. Like, it's a lot
absolutely.
of pressure.
I played the hardware stores. Got Blake, who talked like this. He was the hardware store owner or whatever. I played his son.
Oh, that's
Nice. Did you talk like that too?
No, I didn't talk like this. I talked like
wonder
me.
if you were. That's a very good impression, though. Really good.
I did a movie with him too
I
called
wonder-
Bachelor Man. He was the nicest
really?
guy. This episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and savory recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Since Yulia and I have started using HelloFresh, we've saved so much time by skipping meal prepping and going to the grocery store. We love the creamy, dreamy mushroom cavatappi. It's our new favorite. HelloFresh has us eating healthy and trying new things. HelloFresh's new Build-A-Plate meals are designed to let every member of the household create their own plate. No more making multiple dinners to satisfy everyone, just one meal with so many ways to enjoy. With a changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week, HelloFresh makes it easy to always find something the whole family will love. And for a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids to unlock this exclusive offer. One free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/WizardsKids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
I wonder if you were there when I was there, Home Improvement.
Listen, how many shows have we done together?
That you didn't even apparently a lot.
That you didn't even know. Okay, so circling back to Wizards, because it is a Wizards
Oh,
podcast.
yeah, that's right.
I know, we forget too. And
I
fans
know.
are like, you barely talk about Wizards. Okay, so what was your most challenging hair episode, and what was the one you enjoyed doing the most? You can remember.
They could possibly be the same episode.
Oh, okay, because Roxie likes a challenge.
I liked the challenging ones when we had characters or creatures or
Yeah,
whatever. That was
yeah,
always
yeah.
very fun for me. And I love doing hair, but when I could do something weird,
Yeah.
for instance, one of my favorites that I still have a picture of it in my house is the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I love that.
I loved
Jennifer,
making that wig, and I loved when I put it on you. I was like, oh, heard angels sing.
It was huge, right? It was like 3
huge.
feet.
It was
It was
huge.
massive.
And the white pieces, and I had to lay everything out on my counter and make them. And I was so happy when it worked.
No, and it worked so well. I loved
That was a-
because
that
I was
was
such
a good
big horror
episode.
fan too.
Yes.
That was such a good episode, and the
was-
costumes were so fun, and like Alex's like costume T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah, those themed episodes
That
were
was
fun.
great. I still have a picture of you like sleeping in
in
the
the
lazy
recliner.
boy
Yeah.
with the
the
wig
hair?
on.
Okay, you have to show us that.
I will. I'll find it. You have to
Yeah.
send me something reminding me to
I will.
find
Oh,
these
we will,
pictures.
yeah.
The other one, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if we submitted this, but we were going to.
I
You
think I
mean to the
remember-
Emmys?
To the Emmys.
Yeah.
We went from like the 50s to the 60s to the. Do you remember that
70s.
episode?
Yeah, there was like a dance break or something
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
episode.
and
And-
that's where we saw my dad, like a young grandfather
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were dancing. We
Yeah.
were
Yes, there was
Yeah,
so.
because there was a friend of mine. Oh God. But he played the kind of like John Travolta,
Yes.
Kid
It was
Mickey type. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
it was like the barn thing. There was like a toy that brought us to
Yeah,
those different
yeah, yeah.
times,
yes,
right?
yes.
We
That
haven't
was
rewatched that
fun.
episode
That
yet,
was
so-
one
get
of my favorites to do because I got to do all these time periods
Yeah.
and wigs and fun. And it was actually, in my opinion, beautiful.
Yeah.
It
No, it turned out
really
really
turned
well.
out well. I should find pictures of that.
Yeah.
When you get a script,
Mm-hmm.
there you have we all do the table read,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's something after that called the production meeting.
Yeah.
And all the heads of the departments
Mm-hmm.
are there, and like Guy and the director, like if it was Victor or whatever, you would say, okay, you would discuss the hair situation.
Correct.
Or you would discuss a wardrobe situation or a special effects situation, right? And was that, did they ever discuss something and then completely change it like the day before?
Oh, God,
or-
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it still happens.
Yeah.
Because things aren't working when you're rehearsing and we're like, we got to change that. Roxie's already been on 8 hours of wig shopping, so we should stop her.
Well, what's like the biggest, since you've worked on so many different sitcoms, both network and children's, what's been like the biggest 180 that you've had to do from that production meeting to tape?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, mostly the biggest 180 would be when I've already purchased and like planned out how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that scene is now different. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, and then you're just stuck with all these
Well,
Bride of
not-
Frankenstein
most
wigs
of the
at
people
home.
I have relationships with at beauty supplies and wig stores, I never used it. It's still in the box. They'll take it back.
Yeah.
But it's just like all the work of driving all over town, trying to,
and
plan it.
sourcing those.
But it's this business. It changes on a dime.
well,
I've had
especially
stuff
sitcom.
change on show night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting because Amy Palladino wrote Gilmore Girls, and she wanted more control over what was going on. So she would only turn in her scripts the night before the table read. And so, like, the wardrobe department one time was like, whatever, the can or whatever, somebody had to be in a, grown-up onesie that had fire engines on it the next day.
Right.
And they were like, oh my God, we gotta get that.
Yeah.
And the problem is, they achieved the goal.
Right. That
then
is the
it's like,
problem.
oh, you can do it.
Becomes,
you can do it.
100%.
So that was her way of not having the network give her notes on stuff, because it was like right there at the,
We always have that conversation. The more we will pull something out of our ass, excuse the expression, on the last minute, the more they ask for it.
Sure,
like,
the last minute, 'cause they can do it.
They can do it.
Right.
So kind of transitioning to somewhat of a different topic, but the hair and makeup room, just like at a salon, as you know both very well, is very much a safe space.
Oh,
we talk about who
absolutely.
we're dating, we talk about who we're upset with,
Oh,
we talk about all those kind of
100%.
things.
Talk about everything.
We talk about
Yes,
everything. It's like your
everything.
therapist, right? So what are some of your favorite memories or conversations that you had in the hair and makap room?
that you're allowed
That
to
you're
tell us.
allowed to
I know.
talk
I was
about?
gonna say there are a couple in there, and I'm gonna be vague because I can't
fair.
divulge.
Sure.
But
Just
all
like
of the
any
hair and
good
makeup
hair
people,
stylist would
one
do.
night at lunch, we lit candles, turned off the lights. We
Yeah.
all sat. Remember the couches that we
Yeah,
had?
yeah.
We all sat there and sort of, I don't know how it even started, but it was the confessional of the weirdest thing you ever did with a guy, or it was
What a great way to bond.
it was like, and the 5 of us or 6 of us were rolling on the floor.
I bet.
With like, you did that? Oh my God. So that was fun. And then with the actors, it was a bonding thing because we got to know you guys as people.
Yeah.
And I immediately went into the mom mode with Jennifer and Selena.
Yeah.
Like, I want to take care of these girls. Don't
When
fuck
you
with
were,
them.
we would have like movie nights at your house.
Yes,
and
we would come to my
sleepovers
house and go out for dinner and have movie nights. And I always felt very like, and I loved this with my daughter and her friends. They all come to my house.
Yeah.
And it was a nice way to bond and really care about all of you guys as people.
Yeah.
And because we would just talk about stuff that was going on with your kids and your ex, and stuff that was going on with you, with boys or your parents or whatever. And
I
and it was
complained about
just
my ex a lot.
a little, just a little bit.
There was a moment where we had a hiatus. Typically when you do a sitcom, you'll do 3 weeks on, 1 week off.
Yes.
Or 4 weeks on, 1 week off. Everybody gets a little break.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had a little break, and I came back and I was like, the fuck, Selena's hair is so long. Like, how did I miss that? How did I? Now, I now know that she had extensions in, but I was like, how did
She used to
grow
do that
her
all
hair?
the time, where she literally would be like, I'm going to cut it all off. I'm going to add extensions. And she wouldn't tell anybody. And like Disney would get so.
Wait a minute,
Can I-
really? Oh,
Trust
tell us.
me.
This is okay. Tell us.
She would get so.
She would cut her hair without permission.
She would call me and she would, I'll tell you a couple funny stories, and say, can I come and get a trim? It's like, yeah.
But also too, like, because I remember your old salon, because you're the one who dyed my hair red the first
Was
time.
that in West Hollywood? That
No,
one?
no, the one off of
Whitsett?
Ventura. No, the one off
Whitsett
Whitsett.
upstairs.
The one upstairs.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so she, like, if she were getting her hair done, I'd come hang out, or
Right,
vice
right,
versa, right?
right.
So, yeah.
So
So she wants a trim.
she wants a trim, and I would say, come at the end of the day. Your mom can drop you and I'll drive you home, because she lived very close to where I did at the time. So she would come in and she'd go, okay, so this is what I want to do. And she would like whip out some picture of like highlights and her hair cut like 7 inches. And I'm like, I'll be fired tomorrow. And she's go, no. We will ask forgiveness, not permission.
That,
I
and that
say
came from
that.
Peter.
And that's
Peter
where,
taught us
but
that.
I learned it from Selena. I'd never
Yeah.
heard that before. And I was like,
No, Peter taught both of
think I
us
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
and I would, of course, do it because Selena asked me to do it. And hold my breath until I got to the studio the next week or day or whatever it was. But it happened multiple times. Can we put highlights? Can we take the highlights out? Can we cut bangs?
She loves.
Can I layer my hair? It's like, do you think we should ask anybody?
No.
And
but
then it wasn't a problem. There was nobody got in trouble.
Nobody ever got mad at me, and I, you know, and my standard was Selena. Selena made me do it.
Selena made me do it. I love it.
Because and also too, because like I said, I remember bringing in, because I was always kind of like auburn hair to the Future Harper episode, because I remember seeing that wig and being like, it's so weird, but like that was more closer to my natural color, which was kind of like mousy auburn.
Did you wear wigs on the
No, I'm saying for Rachel Dratch. When she wore the Future Harper episode.
Right.
But I remember bringing you a picture from Rose from Titanic being like, I want this red hair. Did we ever ask? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Because Selena changed her hair all the time.
Yes.
And the only 2 times I did was the red, which worked out great. I mean, it's still, I've been every color under the sun, and it's still what fits
this
me
is
the
your
most.
color
It's
for sure.
Yeah. But that and the bangs that I went and cut myself and totally, I got in trouble when I cut them myself.
You cut your own bangs?
No, so Roxie did a beautiful job, and she cut my bangs to where they were like these like Jane Birkin, but I'm such a
just
nerd.
Above, like on the brow.
Yeah, like very low, like 60s.
And this
bangs.
is when we went like this.
That was my fault because what I didn't realize.
Roxie just moved her finger
that was
from
totally my fault because
to the
you
middle.
can see in the 3rd season, I think, or like 4th season, where you're like, why does she have these weird Betty Page bangs? And my face was so round, I look like a basketball with bangs. It was bad. But what happened was I got home and I loved them, and then I couldn't read. Because whenever I would try to read my books, the bangs would get in my eyes because they were so low. So I was like, let me just take a little off. And you know,
always the biggest
everyone
mistake.
does it. A little over here, and all of a sudden we're like right up here with like micro bangs. But yeah, that was the only time I got in trouble because I remember Disney being like, no more bangs, don't cut anymore, stop it. You know, but that's So I remember
we went through a few things like
but
that.
that's what you do when you're a teenager, is you play with your hair and.
I had hair down to the center of my back.
I know those pictures are wild.
And
Have you seen these?
I don't
the
think
reason
so.
why I did.
You had a mullet, right?
Well, I
Mullet
wouldn't say it wasn't really. I mean, a mullet is more big on the top, long in the back.
It was a
short on the
lazy
side.
mullet.
I had just long hair. I was like a hippie, you know, kind of thing. My hair was similar to yours in that sense, and I did that because I was like, "Hey, do you want to braid my hair?"
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was like my move.
That was slick.
Well, also, I went to like Grateful Dead shows.
Okay,
and
I was about to say,
like a hippie.
and this time, if a guy asked me if I wanted to braid his hair, I'd be like,
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Listen, I wasn't smooth with it, you know, but I had long hair.
Yeah.
And on that note, I booked a Pepsi commercial. And they wanted my hair. It was like this big transitional thing. Like this guy's telling a story and this happens, no, that happens. And my buddy Wayne got a haircut.
Yeah.
Well, they got me a wig. And the wig kept buckling.
interesting.
And then they were like, we want to really cut your hair. And I was like, all right, $5,000. You pay me $5,000. You can cut my hair however you want. So they gave me not only a mullet, but they, like, what do you call it? Like they shaved lines on the sides of my head.
Just edging.
Yeah. So there's a Pepsi commercial out there where I'm the buddy and my hair transforms. And by the way, and I was a kid. And I was like, yeah, you can cut my hair, but I need to see the check first.
But that's because you're your father's son.
That's I was going to say. You
But I was
learned
like,
that from somewhere.
I want the check now. So
Yeah.
so they cut the check, and then I was like, okay, cut my hair. Because, they're like, nah, I don't know. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I was very proud of myself that I did that.
That is, that's smart.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean.
no.
I was excited to tell that story.
glad that you did.
It's my hair story.
I like
yeah.
your edged mullet. So I mean, speaking of like developing relationships in hair rooms, you've worked with Tim Allen since '97 with Home Improvement, and then again with Last Man Standing. How does that change that shorthand that happens as a hairstylist? Because people are very specific about their hair. We definitely had cast members that were very specific about their hair and
for
makeup.
sure.
So
That wasn't me, by the way, everybody.
what are you talking about, Mary?
With specifically Tim, at first, he was a little reticent, just kind of, I look a little like a newscaster. Could you loosen that up? That's his famous line, newscaster.
Yeah, that's funny.
And So we've gone through all kinds of things. Also, we've both aged 30 years over this
but that's
relationship.
What I mean. It's like how beautiful to
30
work with
years.
somebody for that long.
Yes.
And now you're doing his new pilot
I
with
just
Kat
did his new
Dennings,
pilot.
and
Yes. I mean, I have to say that on another note in this same conversation, the loyalty that certain actors have provided me has put my daughter through private high school, put my daughter through college. I mean, bought me homes. I'm serious. I am very indebted to certain actors that have insisted it be me.
Right, which is a wonderful thing.
It's a
because
wonderful thing.
You're there for them. You have
Correct.
this camaraderie. You have
it's a special relationship.
It's a
because
very
there is
special.
an intimacy in the hair and makeup room
Yes.
where it's you have to be able to trust those people,
Right.
not only with the way that you look and how you present
Absolutely.
yourself,
Yes.
but also with just yourself and your
Well,
vulnerability.
you know what? We develop a relationship, and not just with him, with some other people too. I'm like, I'll lean over. You should sit up straight and suck it in, or
because people
you
don't
need
tell
a
you
Kleenex.
those things.
Also,
Yeah.
you have
people don't tell you those
You have
things.
his back. So a lot of times
absolutely.
when we're shooting sitcoms, there will be a monitor, and
I'm watching that monitor.
We're watching the monitor, and we're
You're
making
supposed to
sure
be, but
that
not everybody
everything.
does.
That's
Right, but
Hey,
you're
I take breaks, and
you're-
you know.
No, you have to be glued.
Yeah,
doing your job, and you're watching his back. You're watching your
100%.
Yeah, so that's a big.
But we've
deal.
all had projects that we've worked on where we haven't had that luxury and that
absolutely.
trust. And you literally see it back and you're like, why am I orange? Why is my hair like this?
Yes.
And something,
For sure.
Because that person had, fucked off to Crafty or whatever for way
Exactly.
too
All
long.
I see now for
Absolutely.
myself is I have a little bald spot, So every once in nowadays, well, I mean, when I'm watching something and I see my bald spot, I'm like, but it doesn't matter to other people.
use a little-
but they have,
what was the little
well, they
spray
have
thing?
fake
Yeah,
hair.
absolutely.
They have what do you call that?
it's topics.
Topics. So I went and bought Topics, which is like real hair cut up.
It's fibers.
And you fibers, and you kind of drizzle it on there, right? So I went and bought my own.
Oh, boy.
Because if I'm going to do like a low budget movie, they're not going to have.
That's right.
But I'll give it to them, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, can we fill that in? Now I don't give a shit. I'm like old, whatever.
Well, it
doesn't matter.
depends. Certain people for certain roles will say, for this, I should be filled in. And you know what? 15 years later, now we're doing this. It doesn't really matter because I'm 15 years older and
Right. I'm the grandfather now, so
I'm
I
a
get
grandfather.
Yeah.
I have thinner hair. And
How
And it
old-
fits,
How old was your daughter when we were doing
Oh
Wizards?
my Lord, she's so little.
well, she's
22
23 now.
23 now.
So what year?
We finished
16
2012.
years ago that we
Yeah, we started I think in 2007, 2008 and finished in 2012.
So
So 2008 to 2012.
She must have been 8 when I started there.
And so you were telling me there's a picture of me holding her up upside down, right? Yes. I love
Chloe
it.
was a bad.
I love that I
She
had
is
the balls to
best.
do that. I'm like, here, give me your daughter.
Oh,
I'll
it
hold
was
her up.
really-
But you were everybody's dad. You were like set dad.
I have a
you
picture
know?
of Jennifer like face down, passed out on my living room couch.
I'm there's
Now, when
it's
you say
weird.
passed out, do you mean tired?
I mean, tired. Everybody was very young, and I did not give them drugs and alcohol.
Good.
I did not.
You know, it's interesting. Just on that topic, and
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know you were talking.
No, you're fine.
Our show, we, as you just said, like I was the dad to everybody, and you're like the mom to everybody, and we were taking care of these kids. We had their best interests at heart,
course.
because we're good people.
Yes.
And there's some people that are not good people,
Absolutely.
that are taking advantage of
Absolutely.
younger kids and stuff. So I really do feel like our set was, we were making sure that the kids were taken care of.
100%.
Well, because
That were looked out for. And
100%.
Guy Distad was a big reason
Yes,
about
he
that.
was.
Because, there's certain rules. Kids can only work a certain amount.
Yes.
And sometimes that's pushed, and it shouldn't be. And those parents, it's sometimes hard for the parent to go, hey, you know what?
It's time.
It's time for my
Yes.
child.
Well, but a lot of times the parents don't have the best interest.
Right,
No, because
exactly.
they want the job and
Or the
next
fame
job.
or the attention or the money or- yeah.
Absolutely. I've seen it 1,000 times.
So I'm just saying, kudos to us.
Yes.
To look at how they turn out.
Absolutely.
I'm fine. No, but it's. I heard somebody say recently where they were like, I'm pretty sure child acting is the only industry that children are allowed to work. You know, like, and it's
right.
something
So
where
they can't go like to a coffee shop.
I can't go to a
Right.
coffee shop.
I have a
can't
coffee
go to-
shop.
Oh
Did
my
I tell
God.
you that? Sorry.
I don't.
I actually have seen pictures of it. I want to go there.
We should
You
go.
should.
Anyway,
We should all
let's
go to
take
the
a
Bigfoot
drive.
Cafe. Yes.
But it's something where it can go either way.
Right, this is
it's
very
truly,
interesting.
No, but it's truly it's because you're kind of like lambs to the slaughter or not. You know what I mean? Is because it's either you're in a very vulnerable position as a child, and unfortunately, a lot of the parents of child actors are not.
Well, and really, kudos.
They're not in it for their kids. Like I lucked out that my mom
Right.
was.
Yes.
But your mom was your mom was such a wonderful
Yes. Yeah.
mother
She
in the
is.
sense of
100%.
she didn't treat you differently, and a lot of these parents treat their kids differently.
Well, she made
100%.
sure that I stayed humble, and she made sure that like I knew that this didn't separate me from anybody else.
Right,
And
right.
but also too, she didn't care. She didn't care about the money. She didn't care about the fame. She didn't
That's
care.
a
It was her
huge
fault.
thing.
Jen was like, "I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
go
did.
and go out to LA and be, she got a couple of guest spots and stuff,
Yeah.
and then she was able to finance her own being there.
Yeah,
No,
my
and
parents didn't pay for it at all.
That's
because like
amazing.
I had to finance it. And my mom, right before Wizards, like my acting coach, who I still have to this day, that I've had since I was 9. My mom went to her and she's like, I have to tell her she has to quit. She's out of money. She can't do it anymore, and I can't pay for it.
Yeah.
So she's like, how do I tell her? My acting coach was like, you can't. She loves this so much. So I lucked out because I had one of the outliers, I feel like, because I don't feel like every kid has that.
what does that mean, outlier?
It means beyond the norm.
Okay,
Right. So the
okay.
norm is the parents wanted to be an actor and they couldn't, or they
Right.
want the fame, or they like having everything paid for. Like that tends to be the norm. And so what ends up happening when you don't have parents that are invested is everybody else on set becomes the parent or the predator.
Right.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
And so
I
the
mean,
fact
we all
that-
saw the documentary.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but that's the thing is, it's like we lucked out with Wizards is because, and I know like I've talked to Devin about Neds and stuff like that, where it's like we just by happenstance lucked into a show where you got a whole crew and cast full of parents.
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
For
if
sure.
people care and they're in the power position, then
Yeah.
you can make that happen.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, which is a beautiful thing.
what is something that you working on both sitcom and network and children's shows, which are two very different things, other than the money. How do they differ? How are they similar? Like, what do you take away from both of those?
You mean like
different
grown up sitcom to like kid sitcom
yeah, with,
stuff?
with hair, and because I mean I'm sure with kid shows like they're more over the top, and like you tend to do zanier things.
Yeah, we do
and-
zanier. Absolute good word. We definitely do more of that on kids shows because it's all about the laugh and the joke and the stunt so for sure we get to do more silly things.
Yeah.
An adult show, it's 80% realistic.
Would
and then
you find one more exciting than the other? Like, do you tend to get bored
Well, she had a
doing that?
wonderful time doing your wig on the
That's
on
right.
the Halloween
No, but
episode.
because I'm sure it gets monotonous doing
You know
just
what?
pretty hair.
the
all
doing
time.
the hair is not monotonous. I always love what I do. I still love what I
Good.
do. It's
That
and
means you're doing the
strangely, I
right
was
thing.
not thinking I was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
What gets monotonous for me is once all the work is done and we're sitting in our chairs on a cold
hurry up
stage,
and wait.
and you have 6 or 8 hours to go.
Yeah.
That's
Because
like,
6
oh
or
my
8
God.
hours could be the amount of time that it takes to shoot an episode.
absolutely.
Like Friends shot till 2 in the morning.
Absolutely.
My-
Thank God those days are over.
My dad would always say, "It's a much to do about nothing." That's what he would always say, and it's just hurry up and wait.
Hurry
all that
up
kind
and
of
wait.
thing.
Let's hurry up and wait.
And it's
It's all about the lighting. I mean,
Yeah.
not so much
Yeah.
on the sitcom.
No,
but,
but
you know,
true.
But truly, like it can be very monotonous, and then all of a sudden, when you're on, but it's only maybe a few minutes out of.
That's the hardest part for me. I'm
makes
used
sense.
to like salon. I come in the morning
Yeah, and you're
and I
going.
walk in ready to work.
Yeah.
And I work until I leave. It's not really sitting around unless there's a cancellation or something. And in television, it's completely different. You come in, you do your work, and then you sit
Yeah.
and sit and stand up, do a little touch, do a
this
little.
This is actors too.
Yeah, I
Sometimes,
know.
You know,
Well, there's the
you're
joke.
waiting.
There's
Oh, is it my
Exactly.
turn?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a joke. I worked with an actor one time that he said that we're like dogs in a kennel. Where like we wait and we sleep. As soon as you put them in the kennel, they fall asleep. And the moment you take them out, are we going to play? Are we going to
Yes,
go on?
yes,
Are we
yes,
gonna do
yes.
this? We're so excited, right?
Yes.
So, and I feel like that's everybody on a set, right?
Yeah.
It's like you get put in your kennel, you go to sleep, you get bored, and then all of a sudden you get ready to come out and play and do your thing and like,
Right.
get to do what we're all there to do.
Okay, so
Exactly.
we're going to wrap up soon, but you don't have to say a name.
Oh.
But who was the biggest butthead and what happened? Like you don't have to say who it was, but
who,
did
though?
someone come in and were they mean to you? Were they rude? Did they not speak to you? What
On Wizards?
No. I just mean in life when you're like, have you experienced someone? Because I've experienced,
Yes,
as we've
we all
discussed.
have.
Yes,
We all
I have my number one.
Oh,
What
Can we
happened?
hear what happened? And you don't
have to-
tell us who
say
it is?
Don't say who.
It was a hybrid sitcom on Netflix. And I came in to replace several hairdressers before me.
Not a good sign,
Who
not
could
a good
not
start.
handle this person. And we got along, and then the monster came out.
And what does a monster look like? Is it like, someone swearing at you, someone saying you did this
Telling me how to
wrong,
do my job, number one.
Right.
Thinking they know what's best when they don't.
Right.
And being unkind and trying to think of a good word.
An asshole.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. And I being I think the fourth or fifth, thinking I could come in, I'm going to save the day. I'm going to fix it. It's going to be fine. I know how to do my job.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that season, a lot of drama happened on that with other actors. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
And then I was told that it seems like maybe it's not a good fit. And I said, you're absolutely
like, you know what?
right.
It's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And what a wonderful thing that you lasted that long. Wonderful thing that you tried it. But why? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be at work with someone who's not nice to me and who's been
true.
and being not nice to other people. Like I've gone on some dates where I'm just getting to know this person and they're rude to the waiter.
Right.
And I'm like, check, we're out. I'm done.
Because
If you're-
it's a character flaw.
Yeah,
You can't
right,
fix that.
exactly.
Well, what's interesting about that, and the only reason I took it knowing there was a problem, was I was on Last Man Standing. After season 6, it got canceled. I did that show for a season. And then another network picked up Last Man Standing, and we went 3 more years.
Right. I forgot about that.
So it was that little place
is that
where
when
I'm
Molly
like,
came on when we switched networks?
Molly McCook?
Yeah.
I
Or did
think
she
so.
come on right
yes.
before?
No.
Yeah, because
Yes, that's when Molly McCook came.
Got down to they asked for my avail to replace his eldest daughter, and then my friend or like acquaintance Molly ended up getting it. But it was so weird because I remember being in nursing school and seeing Molly when she first started on the show, being like, I could have worked with Roxie as I'm like wiping some dude's ass or like cleaning his feet or something.
Oh my God, had I known that.
Isn't it amazing that she's a nurse?
stop.
Isn't that so cool?
Let me tell you something. This girl saved my mother's and my ass a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
I called her and said, I'm taking my mom to the ER. Are you there? And she said, no, but I'll make a call. And we literally sat down in the waiting room and stood up because they called her name. And I was like,
Well, and I told her I was like, I can't always help, but I try when I can.
That's so great.
yes.
So
All was good on all fronts. My mother was fine. We got in fast. It was,
She's okay now?
she's fine.
Okay, good.
we
It
put her
wasn't
in,
even
we
a
put her in
thing.
the Steve Carell room.
Yes.
It was great.
What do you mean Steve Carell room?
No, so you were born there, you know.
I was born at the hospital
that I
in
work
Burbank,
at. It's
yeah.
across
Oh, were
the
you?
street.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's across the street from Disney, and so
My dad
and it
was
was
working there, that's
it was
why.
most the ER was like all donations. So speaking of Mario Lopez, he actually has donated a lot to the hospital. So like he has his like, so anyway, so because they donated, they have their names outside rooms. So like Steve Carell has one. Mario Lopez is our 2 code rooms. So my joke is like, well, someone's like fighting. It's a terrible dark joke, but everyone in the ER has a very dark sense of humor. Is like
You have to.
You have to. It's a survival instinct. But like, so there's like, we have 2 of them. One of them's like something Mario Lopez, and the other one's like his golf tournament. So I'm like, you just have to like, while you're fighting for your life and in that twilight zone, you just get to see like a loop of Mario Lopez playing golf. Or like Saved by the Bell reruns or extra episodes or whatever.
As you were dying, what is the last
Yeah,
thing
you saw Mario Lopez
Mario
working
Lopez
out. Yeah.
shooting golf.
Yeah.
All right,
funny.
Roxy, thank you so much.
I have
you
one
have
last
another
question. I have
Yes.
one last question
Okay.
to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
If you could tell yourself when you were going to Santa Monica College and we weren't going to do this forever, if you could give yourself advice from where you are now and all the wisdom that you have then, what advice would it be?
Don't work on a Netflix show. No, I'm kidding.
No, don't fight it.
Yeah.
This thing happens to be rolling along and you're doing well already. Why are you still going? It's only temporary. Just go for it and enjoy it. I missed like the first 5 or 8 years of my career thinking that I was waiting for something better.
Yeah.
But this has turned
well
out,
said.
this job, because of the people I work with, has bought me homes, put my daughter through school, like I said, taken me all over the
Well, and it
world.
sounds like you love it.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
I
And
do.
So it's like
I love
you get
it.
to do what you love.
I love it.
But I love that for the listeners, the idea is try things, do stuff, enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy what you're doing, embrace that. And also branch out, because you could have been an attorney.
I could have.
You know what I mean? Like that path.
I could have.
But it's interesting to me because I think a lot of times we'll put like horse blinders on. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
That's right.
Don't be married to what it's supposed to be.
Right. Live in the moment.
Because
hey, this is going pretty well. Why aren't I enjoying it?
Yeah.
But I never thought of that until later.
Yeah.
So I guess that is
Well, hindsight's 2020, but I
Right.
God, I relate to that so much because I literally was like, I'm an actor. That's all I'm gonna do. That's
Right.
ever I'm gonna do. And life has other plans, and so I love that you said be open to what those other plans might be. It's not gonna look like what you thought, and maybe it'll look better.
Yeah.
But you learn more as you get older. And I was very young. I was 19 when I got out of beauty school and immediately started my career.
Yeah.
Did I think I'd be 60 and talking about? No. I thought I was going to be doing something else. I wish I would have enjoyed it the whole way.
Well, you're enjoying it. I mean, you started, what did you say, after 6 or 7 years, you started to enjoy it?
Yeah, well, not that I started to enjoy it, but I started
You
to
embraced
accept,
it a little
like,
more, yeah.
oh, I think this might be my career.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very
And
cool.
what a career. Well,
Yes.
Roxie, thank you so much for coming
Thank you for
on.
being
we love
here.
You.
This was so
Yes.
fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We love you guys. I'll see you guys next week too. We love you.